So there's just been this article that's been going around called Against YA, and if you haven't read it, just don't. I wanted to talk about it, so we're gonna do that. So I saw the Book Basement do a video on it, and I will link it down below. I think she said everything that, like, I feel too for the most part, but there's some things that I want to add in. I think reading is a lot like just personalities in general. Like, there's no, like, one thing that anyone fits into. Like, you can't just be, like, smart and you're nothing else. Like, you can, you know what I mean? And, like, personality-wise, like, when you list your personalities, you list, like, 3, 5, 10, whatever, like, your traits. Like, you put those in there, like, honest, trustworthy, you know what I mean, pretty, all those things. In books, a lot of that time is with your personality mixed in. You can read a lot of different things. I personally read a bunch of different things. I read YA, I read new adult, I read nonfiction, fiction, all this stuff. And it's just because my personality is very flowing to things that, like, I'm not so, like, one thing, but a lot of people just like one thing. A lot of people like just one thing when they're reading, though, because, like, I mean, I feel like a lot of people just, like, find their niche in reading, too, and they just stick with it, which is always, I mean, good. Like, find what you like. Like, it's kind of like a career in that aspect. I'm like, doing, like, these comparisons that, like, probably aren't making a lot of sense, but, I mean, you just, like, you find something you love and you stick with it, and if you ever do want to change it, that doesn't mean what you were reading before is less worthy of it. And I think that what this article did is it basically was showing people that, like, what you should be ashamed of what you're reading, which is obviously against YA, the title, but you shouldn't be ashamed of what you're reading. If you want to read just read whatever the hell you want to read. Like, for real, that's what this comes down to. If you want to read children's books, go for it. Like, there's nothing stopping you. They put those on there for, like, kids that are 12 that shouldn't be, like, not shouldn't be, but, like, that they worry that aren't mature enough to handle adult issues, so they put titles on those things to help guide parents into helping things. But overall, if it's what you think you should be reading, read it. Like, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter whatsoever what you're reading. And no one should be like, oh my god, you're reading that book? And especially on BookTube, YA is a really popular genre. It just is, because you know what? Who are the main viewers that you get? If you make videos, look at your analytics. Most of your, like, views are 13 to 17 year olds. That is classified as YA. So a lot of people like to read YA. And even when you go out of that classification, you can still read YA. Because it's kind of like the Monopoly, how it's like ages 5 and up. When you're 32, you can still play freaking Monopoly. It's not like it's like cuts you off. I hate those games that do like 6 to 12. I think Yahtzee does that, and I'm like, I'm 17, I'm gonna play Yahtzee, so suck it. Overall, like, really what it comes down to is no one should be ashamed of what they're reading. No one should have to deal with judgment about what they're reading. Like, if someone ever told me, like, you're seriously reading that book, I would have been like, yeah, it's a good story, I enjoy it, and you know what I mean? I'm sorry that you're too dense to freaking understand that, like, this is good, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but I can like it. Like, some people don't like the color yellow, some people do. It, like, there's differences in opinion, but there are some things that you just keep to yourself. And a lot of times, I think when reading, which is so personal to a lot of people, because a lot of it is an escape, that I just forget about that. And it's kind of like you're just putting your foot in your mouth. Like, you don't need to sound like a jerk to get your point across. And the way that this author, Ruth, I think her name is, went about approaching this is completely, like, messed up for a lot of reasons. Because she said, like, a lot of times it's a satisfying ending. What's wrong with wanting a satisfying ending? Because it's an escape and escapism and all that stuff. That's what it is. Like, you cannot read a book and not, like, and, like, hold a conversation. Like, you just can't. Like, there's things that, like, take you away, and music does that. Like, TV does that. So many things do that. So what's wrong with that? Are you saying we shouldn't have YouTube? We shouldn't have TV? We shouldn't have books? Like, for real, I don't know what she's saying. There are so many outlets, and just because someone chooses to read books shouldn't be like shameful anyways, and this kind of goes into more general aspect of people like downing people that read books in general. But then when it gets down to like the nitty-gritty, people that do read books and people turn into book snobs, they're like, oh, I only read historical fiction. But I mean, it's not a snob, it's more of just like that you found your preference, and a lot of people down that. But when you're saying that you only read historical fiction or adult, you're not decreasing the value about the other books. You just found what you liked. And I think that's what a lot of this is. Just like this title says, read whatever the hell you want. Like, for real, there's nothing stopping you. Like, you can go buy a book. You can go rent a book from the library. Pick whatever you want. No one's going to stop you. So that is my 2 cents on this. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.